Hello, everyone. Welcome back once again. I'm Nicodemus Kane. Today is August the 24th of 2022. I actually got to sleep in today, which is amazing. Or actually, I got to sleep up to my alarm, I should say. I didn't wake up early, which is awesome. I actually feel rested, which is nice. Um, but today is Wednesday, and we said that on Wednesdays, we are not necessarily going to be reading any Bible verses. We're going to look up. Well, for the past couple of Wednesdays, I've been looking up different things that I've posted in my Facebook feeds. Because back I've said before, back in 2019, I was absolutely on top of my game, actually. Um, Posting entire walls of notes of different things. And I've read a couple of them. And the one that I did, what was it, 2 weeks ago? Actually got my got my second strike on YouTube. So we have to, how do you want to put this? We have to be careful now, apparently, about how we go about this, about what we talk about at this point. So I figured what we're going to do is we're going to talk about, how many did I have here? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13. Nice number. 13 random things that have absolutely nothing to do with each other. Nothing at all. Just absolutely random concepts that it's almost like a primer. Let's put it this way. It's 13 things that I have found over the past week and a half. Just, jotting little things down of what you could research for yourself in order to understand what's happening. You can take this, you can look it up, figure what all these things mean, but it's 13 random things, random events, random concepts, random ideas, just to throw them out there. I'm not going to say that any two of these things are linked in any way, shape, or form. That's going to be for you to decide. But we're going to look at it. And we're going to look at these 13 things, and we're going to see how it goes. So I have them listed down here. I wrote them down on a notepad, and I know what most of this stuff is. And some people may not. I'm pretty sure if you are listening to this, you probably already know what most of this stuff is too. So let me go ahead. Let me make sure that I'm not sharing anything I don't want to share. Because for some reason, whenever I get in here and start talking about this stuff, it shows my name. It's stupid. I hate it. So anyways, let me get in here. So the very first thing I have on the top of my list is the NWO, the New World Order. Now, the New World Order, of course, is something that they're all talking about at this point. Just about everybody has dropped the moniker New World Order in some way, shape, or form. And when they talk about that, they talk about this system of society, and that we need a new system of society. A way of changing life so that we can be quote unquote better as we go through. One of the biggest ones when they talk about this New World Order is back in 1990 on September the 11th. George H.W. Bush, the first Bush, gave his speech in which he dropped the New World Order, the biggest one, the big NWO bomb. That was 11 years to the day of certain events that we should all know at this point. Coincidentally, while I was looking this up, I made sure, because I always look this up too. The Pentagon, I had to look up the Pentagon to make sure. Ground was broken on 11 September of 1941, exactly 60 years to the day of a certain event that, and there was something else too, something else I was watching. There were two other things that happened on the 11th of September before. I think one of them was like 80 years before, and there's another one that was like, 50 years before. It's the 11th of September. It just seems to be a very interesting little date in history. I'm not saying there's any coincidences or anything. I'm just saying that, something that we should all look into. But this New World Order is something that they've been talking about, and they keep talking about. And they want us all to understand that this is a good thing. Having a new way, a new society, a new way of living would be so much better. Is that we need to usher in this new world order. So that's where it starts. That's your beginning. That's the one I put on the very top of this. So the next thing I have, and this is not in any chronological or truly discernible way. This is just, I was just jotting stuff down. I actually started at the bottom of this list and worked up. It was a video I was listening to, and whoever it was covering a lot of these things. The first thing he covered was I cannot remember the name of the website, but it was I think it was Deagle.com. Is what it is. It's not there anymore. But it had a map of the world, and it talked about what the future of the world could be. And one of the things that it had on this map is you could look 30 years into the future, 40 years into the future, however long. And before it was taken down, this guy had looked at what the population of America would be, what they predicted the population of America could be in, I think it was 2050, I think it was. And the American population was reduced down to, I don't remember exactly what it was, 10 million, 30 million, I don't remember what it is. You have to remember there's 300 and, I think we should be at 330 million at this point, maybe 380. I don't know. I don't know the population of the world, but there was a reduction of more than 80% of the population of America. It's like everybody else stayed the same except for America. Our GDP went down, our gross national product went down, our population, everything just dropped. And it's very strange that by 2050, these people predicted that America would just kind of fall off the face of the earth. But everybody else was just fine. So that was kind of where he started, but then he started talking about all these other things. And as he was talking about them, I was kind of jotting them down. And as I was jotting them down, I was jotting down other things that I kind of remembered, little things here and there. And it kind of left me with a list, and I started thinking, you know, that it's like it's a list of just a bunch of things that separately they could be what a normal person could consider to be the perfect thing in the world. Separately, each one of these 13 things could be pretty neat. Hey, that's not bad. That's all right. That sounds good. It sounds good on paper. But together, it forms this plan. Now, I'm not saying, again, these are all completely coincidental things. I'm not going to say that they're all part of anything, but for the conspiracy-minded person, when you put all these things together, they form this very interesting, I don't know, puzzle piece. But we're not conspiracy-minded here. We are dealing in truths and absolute truths and understanding. So we're just kind of coincidentally talking about all these things. That's all we're doing. Nothing else. So again, don't believe me. Listen to these things I'm talking about. Each one of these points, take these points and use them to go research for yourself and find out what these things mean. So the first thing I have, again, is this new world order, this understanding that we can build something better. There can be something better that comes from this idea that, we need this new paradigm shift in order to be able to make ourselves better. So that's kind of where it starts. It's interesting that, that speech coincidentally just happened to be 11 years to the day of certain other events that happened. Again, the Pentagon being built, or the ground being broken exactly 60 years to the day of certain events. And there was something else with other things too, and again, I can't remember what they were right now. Whatever. So the next thing I have on the list is RFID chips. And RFID chips, for anyone that doesn't know, it's radio frequency identification. We have them in various different things. It's, whenever you run a scanner over a certain chip, you have an RFID chip inside of your credit cards now. You have RFID chips inside of identification, like driver's license, things like that. They're becoming more and more prevalent in the world. It's a scanner that can scan it, and it understands this is a thing, and it's all computer driven. So the thing with the RFID chips is that people are now taking them and they're putting them inside of their hands for identification. I think, what did they say? Sweden is the big one now. Is it either Sweden or Denmark? One of the two. They are having RFID chip parties where they are getting these things implanted inside of their hands. They have to put them inside of their hands, right at the fleshy part between your thumb and your first finger, because these things have batteries in them. The batteries need to charge. And they said that they can recharge these batteries through heat. And that's the best place to do it, because whenever you open and close your hand, you produce heat right there in that little fleshy bit. So they put it in there, and it's like a little grain of rice inside of your hand, is what they say. So there's a lot of people that are doing this. It's got all your identification. It can unlock your house door. It can unlock your car. You can pay for things with it. There was a place in Wisconsin, factory in Wisconsin, that was doing the same thing. That they have, I think they said 50% of all of their employees that they wanted to do it as well. I saw a video several years back. I just want to make sure that we're still recording. All right. Several years back, where it had taken the news report, and it had taken all these other things, put them together into one place so that you could understand what all this stuff meant. There was a guy on there that was talking about the RFID chips, and he said the manufacturer, the first manufacturer, I don't know if they're still the manufacturer, but the first manufacturer of these RFID chips was this InTag. It's the brand that they use for the chips, and this comes from this NXP. These people. Now, when I looked into InTag, it was back 5 years ago, 6 years ago. It was a while ago. It was, whenever this guy was talking about, it was about 5 or 6 years ago. Since then, apparently these InTag guys, or this branding, they've been busy. They've been doing stuff. Improving their systems, I guess you could say. They are, it's a secure and end-to-end security to support easy, fast developments, blah, blah, blah. You can read all of this if you want to. Again, InTag and RFID. And I was just kind of looking down, just seeing, what they got going on. And it's been a while since I've looked into this. But I thought it was interesting. I came down here, and they now have an InTag 223/224 DNA. I was like, 223? That's interesting. That's an interesting little number. I'm not going to say what it is or what it isn't. I'm just saying. InTag 223 and 224 DNA ICs are common criteria certified security chip solutions. Using blah, 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 cryptographic protection to support a broad range of NFC-based applications in consumer, healthcare, retail, and industrial markets. So this is InTag 223. Interesting stuff. And stuff you can look into. It's a big rabbit hole. It's, you can go check this stuff out for yourself. It's not, it doesn't have anything to do with much anything else that's going on. But I just thought it was interesting. Go away, no. But you come down here, and there's more stuff down here, like helping pharma help people. New NFC tags boost safety and adherence. And I was like, oh, how interesting. And then there's other stuff. NFC and HFRFID technologies can help protect some kind of deliveries and enable verifiable some kind of certificates. Okay. That's interesting stuff. I didn't know about any of this stuff. Like I said, this is new. This is when I came looking for this InTag stuff back 6 years ago. It wasn't this big. I mean, this is kind of, it's grown. It's grown pretty big. Now, the reason that I bring up this whole RFID InTag stuff, I covered this before, and I will cover it again here now for you. That video's still up there somewhere. So when we talk about RFID, radio frequency identification, radio frequency identification. 9 6 9. It doesn't mean anything, but the simplest of gematria is the numbering of letters, of English letters. R is an 18, F is a 6, and I is a 9. So you have a 969, or an inversion is a 666. I covered this in a video a long time ago. Long time ago. I got pretty deep into it too. You can't really talk about this stuff now, though. You talk about this stuff now and your video gets pulled off of YouTube. But it's just something I wrote down. Again, it doesn't mean anything. It's just, it's interesting. It's good on this NXP and this NTAG brand that they've expanded as much as they have, so that they can help people with certain identification processes. It's good on them. Good on them. What was this? Oh, the same thing. Yeah, the 223. The NTAG 223. Go look at this stuff. Just go look at this stuff. So anyways, the next thing I have on my list is the ID 2020. What is the ID 2020? Well, the ID 2020, I'll make a little note here. Hold on a second. Is a push by, I don't even know if it even say if it's the if it was, no, it doesn't say. Oh yeah, there's one right there. Okay. It is a push by those people in charge to make sure that everyone has a digital identity, so that everyone can have access to the world. Because everyone, no matter who you are, you need to be able to have the means and the will to be able to use a computer, to have a digital identification. We need to get digital ID right. So you need to be able to access it. The lost African tribes that are out there in the middle of nowhere, they need to be able to know that they can use computers. They need to be able to have, we need to make sure that everyone in the world has an identification, so that we can know that everyone has the ability to be able to access computers everywhere, no matter what, no matter who you are. You have to be able to have that. So this is a push. Is it a good thing? I'm not going to say if it's a good thing or not. I'm just going to say that this is out there. This is something that has been in the works for a while. Certain people that run certain other companies are funding this, so that everyone can be identified in however way possible, in any way, any absolute way possible. Because we need to have, the way I heard it was, we need to make sure that we have birth records and identification records for everyone, so that everyone has the ability to be able to participate in the future, this new world order. They're not connected, though. I'm sorry I connected them. They're not connected. We need to stop connecting these things. This is 13 random things that mean absolutely nothing. Okay. Sorry, I'm still making notes. All right. So this ID 2020. Look into this stuff. It's interesting stuff. So this ID 2020, of course, this is a digital ID. This means that there's some kind of marker on your body that will give you an identification, whether it'll be biometrics, whether it'll be through some kind of chip technology, whether it'll be through, I don't know, facial scan technology, eye scan I don't know how they're going to make it work. But everyone gets to have one of these. Everyone in the world has to be marked in some way, shape, or form. Within that, and this doesn't exactly follow along, again, it's not chronological. The next thing I have on my list is the patent that came out in 2020 that everyone was talking about. I talked about this a lot myself. It was publication was March 26th of 2020. For all of you gematria people, that is 2/6. Actually, the whole date within itself. Anyways, Um, but this came out 2020, very early on. We found out very early in the lockdowns. The WO, I don't know why they called it WO. World Order, maybe? I don't know. 2020 060606. It is a cryptocurrency system using body activity data. Basically, what this says is as you move your body, something in your body generates heat, something in your body generates something, and there is some kind of a sensor on your body that will detect activity in order to know that you're doing a certain thing. I mean, whether it be walking, running, whatever, there will be something on your body in some way, shape, or form that will know that, oh, you've walked X amount of miles, or you've done X amount of something. You've played with yourself. I even said this whenever I first talked about this. You've played with yourself for, X amount of minutes, But there's some kind of sensor on your body, totally unrelated to the stuff we just talked about, that goes to a device. And what that device is, it sends that signal to a network, and it says, well, this human did X amount of whatever, therefore they mined X amount of cryptocurrency. Now, if you were to take that another way, you could say this person did X, therefore this person earned X amount of money, tokens, credits, whatever. This is a way in order to find out what people are doing in order to earn money, earn credits, earn points. That's what this is. Something on your body tells something else that you did something so that you could earn money. You could earn a digital currency. That's what this is. No rhyme or reason to it at all. The naming system, the number system. I don't. Somebody told me before, oh, it's just 060606. It doesn't mean anything. That's not. It's not what you think it is, and it's probably not. It's probably not what you think it is at all. So, just again, this is something that you should probably look into, but it has no connection with anything else we've got going on whatsoever. I have these out of whack here. Let me move this over. So the next thing we have going on is this thing called Agenda 2030. These are 17 sustainable goals that the UN has come up with in order to make our world better. I'm not going to go any further into this, but I would say you should probably look into what these goals are, what they mean, what they're doing with these goals in order to bring about back to your new world order. This is to supposedly help us all become better. So look into this kind of stuff. Go out there, research this for yourself. This has nothing to do with anything else I'm talking about. Again, these are 13 random events that have nothing to do with anything. So the next thing I have on the list is Gavi. Gavi is an alliance for people that are giving out I'm not even going into that. It is a foundation created by certain people that we will not talk about. What in the world? That are making sure that everybody gets a gets a chance at health. Oh, there's one right there too. World Health Organization, UNICEF, certain foundation over here that we can't talk about, and a World Bank Group. Interesting. But they are dedicated to making sure that everybody has health care in some way, shape, or form. Getting very particular kinds of health care. They're out there. They're out there to make sure that everybody gets it in one way, shape, or form. It has nothing to do with anything else that I just talked about over the past, 20 minutes. Nothing at all. It's just people that are trying to do good. They're trying to help. They're trying to help. So we'll go on. We'll move on. So that was, that was Gavi. They are trying to help. This should have been with this should have been over here with the patent. In 2020, we had something pass in Congress. This is not one of my 13 things, but it was just something that I just wanted to point out. In 2020, we had something pass in Congress called H.R. 6666, which is a Testing, Reaching, and Contacting Everyone Act. It's a TRACE Act. That's what it was called. This had a bunch of other stuff in it too. But this was to make sure that to authorize a Secretary of Health and Human Services to award grants to eligible entities to conduct diagnostic testing for stuff and related activities such as contact tracing through mobile health units and, as necessary, at individuals' residences and for other purposes. When you really get down into this, it basically says we will give you X amount of dollars to make sure that everybody will be tracked and traced and contacted for certain medical issues that have popped up for the year. So somebody's pointed this out, and yes, it is a just because that's the number of the number of the bill doesn't mean anything, because we actually had an HR 6666 pop up this year, which is for education, for furthering education, outside of like grad school and stuff like that, where it says that, something about being eligible to be whatever. And there was another one that was done in 2018, I think. So the number may not mean much of anything, but it is interesting that this popped up right after we found out about the patent, the WO 2020-06-06-06. This popped up almost immediately right afterwards. I doubt they mean anything. I doubt that, this has anything to do with contacting and tracing anybody. I doubt this has anything to do with, people that just want to help everyone in the world, and an identification technology that, has to do with this. That all points back to a new world order. I doubt it. Again, this is all just unrelated stuff that you should, look into for yourself. So the next thing I have on my list, number 7, is of course the World Economic Forum. The World Economic Forum, and the Great Reset. I'm not going to go into it. You can go look that up for yourself. The Great Reset. There is an urgent need for global stakeholders, for the men that have all the money, to cooperate in simultaneously managing the direct consequences of the crisis that we have been living under for the past 2 years. To improve the state of the world, the World Economic Forum is starting the Great Reset Initiative. This is an initiative to say that because the lockdowns happened, everything broke, that you can't fix it by just opening everything back up. It broke. The system broke. It was never meant to be shut down in the first place, and for whatever reason they shut it down and it broke. So now the only way to get it back to where it is that we have to reset it. We have to reset it. And when we reset it, it's not like we're going to turn it off and turn it back on and it's going to go back the way it was. No, when it resets, we have this totally new implementation that we can put into place. We have this we have these new agendas that we can follow now that's been around for a while. This, Agenda 2030, we can follow that. We have this, all these other things that we can put into place that will help us in this great reset. But it's just coincidence. It means nothing at all. Of course, again, this is all conducted by the World Economic Forum, who is gathering leaders from all around the world, slowly but surely, pulling them into this great reset that they have going on. They're not asking the people of the world what they can do to help. They are these corporate entities are saying this is what we can do. Now it's interesting though, whenever you look up, I don't know if I can go back and see it. Yeah, right there. When you look up World Economic Forum, it says company. It doesn't say organization. It says company. This is not an organ, even though it's a .org. This is not a .org. This is a company. This is a corporation. This is a corporation that is taking over. These are corporate entities. We have heard so many people say over the years that corporate entities are trying to take over the world. These are men that have money that are creating companies in order to run the world. This is it's all purely coincidental, though. None of this means anything. These are all 13 unrelated items that mean nothing. They're just trying to get all this stuff together to make it all work. Some of the other interesting things I have on here that I did not look up. I have the United Nations. Now, of course, the United Nations are the ones that wrote up the where's it at? Agenda 2030. The United Nations, whenever they were founded, came out of the what was it? I cannot remember what it was, but nobody wanted it at the time. Nobody wanted a United Nations because everybody kind of knew that was a world government is not what you want. You don't want somebody in another country making the rules for you in the country you're in, because those people in that other country may not have the same values that you do. But that was what the United Nations was founded upon, is making rules for the world. But slowly but surely, they have convinced the world that they are... Was it the CFR? Is that what it was? I think that's what it was. I could be wrong on that. What they were founded, how they started. But these people are now making these rules for everybody. so that they can say, well, you have to live by this. You have to be like this, be like that. But again, the things that we do here in America are not going to be the same that they do over in, I don't know, China, for example. Or, the things that we do here are not going to be the same that they do in South Africa. We all have different ways of living. If you make everybody do the same thing, those values are going to be different. It's going to create disharmony, conflict. But that's what they want. They want to make a total world government. This new world order, if you will. I don't think it's connected though. I think it's all unrelated. I have another one on here, CRISPR-Cas9, which I did not look up. They are going out of their way to manipulate the DNA of human beings to show that they are able to make humans better in any way, shape, or form. Before you're born, after you're born, and for the rest of your life. That they can get inside of your DNA, find out the problems that you have in your DNA, and be able to fix it in some way or another. Now, I would think that these people who are wanting to change your DNA could really use some global organization, some world organization, to help them do this in some way, shape, or form. So that everybody can be the same. I don't know why. And I figure that there has to be some kind of identification that they can use, while they're using this technology to change our DNA with the help of certain people. I'm just saying. I mean, I'm not saying that's what they're going to do. I'm not saying that this is connected in any way, shape, or form. I just, it's interesting stuff. It's interesting stuff. Again, this is stuff to look at. Take these 13 things and look at them individually and just see that, it's interesting things. It's just interesting stuff. So, of course, this Great Reset, this Agenda 2030, this Gavi, this identification this ID 2020, the NTAG, all this stuff. The first thing I wrote down was this Deagle.com. Again, what's the reduction of a population of the United States of America. It's where it started. Which led me back to the Georgia Guidestones. Now, the Georgia Guidestones, let me see if I can find one. Find a good... Of course, the Georgia Guidestones aren't there anymore. They got destroyed. Just out of nowhere. They just got blown up. But it's almost like a new 10 Commandments. It's like a new 10 Commandments for the world. The very first one is the maintain humanity under 500 million in perpetual balance with nature. Now, an interesting thing about that is we have heard several people over the past 20 years actually pop that number, 500 million. We've heard that number over and over again. You just haven't really understood it. One of the ones was Ted Turner came out and he said he thinks that we need, I think it was him, says that he thinks that we need to reduce the population by, I think he said 85%. And at the time, we were 5 billion. I mean, this is back in the 80s. I cannot remember exactly what it was, but the numbers, when you reduced it down, came out to just shy of 500 million people left in the world. There's been a couple others. I cannot remember what they were because I didn't write them down. At the time, I did the calculations, and I bet you they're on a poster here somewhere, but I can't find them. The most recent one I remember, though, Jane Goodall. Anybody remember Jane Goodall when he used to go out and play with the monkeys? She said something about she wishes that the population of the world could go back to the way it was 400 years ago. It was either 400 years ago or 500 years ago. And I covered this in a video too. If you take the population, if you go back 500 years, according to what they say, this is according to what they say, 500 years ago, the population of the world was 500 million people. So you keep hearing it over and over again. You keep hearing that number over and over again. You just don't know it. But this whole thing, again, it starts with the reduction of America. Because remember, I for whatever reason, I wrote this note from the bottom up. It started with Deagle.com, then Georgia Guidestones, then CRISPR, United Nations World Economic Forum, backwards. But I came at it from the other way as I'm talking to you. But the Georgia Guidestones are there. That will always exist in our minds. Maintain humanity, everyone, the population of the world, under 500 million. You have to remember, there are 380 million people in America alone. There are 1.4 billion people in China. There is a push, always has been a push, by those people in charge that have all the money, have all the power, where they have constantly said over and over again in different ways, they have said, wouldn't it be nice, or there are too many people, or I wish we could have the population as it was then, that have gone on and on and on about how we need to reduce the population of the world. There's too many people using too much stuff. These are the richest people in the world that are saying this. Poor people aren't saying this. I have not met one person down here on the ground level that has said, you know what, we just got too many people. I think we should just reduce the population of the world. I'm sure there's people that are saying it, though. I'm absolutely sure that there are people out there that are saying this. But it's mostly been the people on the top that have the cash. The ones that own 400, 500 acre lots, that own the big, huge mansions. You know, the ones that actually can make a difference by feeding the poor, feeding the hungry, helping them have better lives. Those are the ones that are saying that we need to reduce the population. It's absurd. It's absolutely absurd. I think we should reduce the population because they're using too much. But I have all the power in the world to be able to fix that. But I would rather reduce the population. This is what's happening. And the reason for that is eugenics. It's been a talk that has been around since the late 1800s, probably before that as well. That, and I have talked about this before, generational families, that they believed it back in the 1800s. They passed it down to their children. Their children passed it down to their children. They don't teach their children the same way you teach your children. They don't give them the same morals. They don't give them the same standards. They teach their children because you are part of this family. your blood is better than theirs. And theirs means us, all the people at the bottom. We are better than them, therefore, we get to decide how we rule over them. They teach their children it's okay to steal from us. They teach their children it's okay to lie to us. They teach their children it's okay to enslave us. They teach their children that we are garbage. We are nothing. We are nothing to worry about. It's okay for them to screw us over. And when they teach them that, they grow up thinking it. And it snowballs worse and worse and worse until you get to the point where these kids, these children of the children of the children for the past 100 years, 200 years, however long it's been, they are now to the point where they are just straight out saying, we don't want you here. We don't want you here. We only need so many of you in order to keep the machines oiled. You know, everything else is fine. Well, you're using up too much. You're using up too many resources. You're eating too much food. You're breathing too much air. You're using up too much land. Meanwhile, they're sitting there in their comfort in their 300-acre lots with their mansions where one room is bigger than your entire house. And they're telling you that you're using too much. These people are evil and cruel and wicked. And it needs to be stopped. The people that say that are the same people that wrote this stuff. Maintain humanity under 500 million. That means that 9 out of 10 of us are going to have to be destroyed. Are going to have to be killed. You have to be killed simply because they think they're better than you are. You have to get that through your head. You have to get that through your head. That's what a lot of this stuff means. Even though these are 13 completely random coincidental things, that's what this means. That's what it's all about. So this is only 11. Georgia Guidestones was number 11. There are 2 more. The 12th one I can't even talk about. The 13th one was Event 201. This is it was an exercise that they pulled back in October of 2019. What would happen if there was a worldwide pandemic? Thankfully, they had this though. Thankfully, they had this exercise back in October so that they would be prepared whenever it happened 3 months later. Thankfully, they had this exercise, and we were ready to go. It's just stuff to look up. Again, it's totally unrelated stuff. Number 12, though. Number 12 we can't even talk about because it gets channels pulled. But there is one thing that has happened over the past 2 years. There's a reason why it happened, and that's exactly what it was. Event 201 was to prepare us for a worldwide pandemic. Number 12 on my list was that worldwide pandemic. The reason that the World Economic Forum says that we have to have a great reset. The reason that Gavi has become a name now, has become part of the lexicon of the world. They are doing their best. The reason that ID 2020, where everybody needs to have a digital identification, the same people that fund one thing are funding another thing, The richest people in the world, the same ones that say there are too many people in the world, are the ones that are out here funding every single bit of what I just talked about. All 13 steps. They're the same people. Ain't none of it good. Ain't none of it good at all. On its surface, every single one of these individually on its surface seems innocuous. It can't hurt us, you know. Agenda 2030 sounds amazing on paper until you start getting into what each individual one of these actually means. This Great Reset sounds good. Sounds like we could improve it. You know, this Great Reset that will lead to a new world order. A new world order, you know, where everything is justified by the law instead of the law of the jungle. Sounds good on paper. But it's all totally unrelated. And it's completely coincidental that I would even talk about this kind of stuff in context of each other. There's no reason for me to talk about any of it. So, what I'm going to say is, go take your time. Look into it. Read up on all this stuff. You don't have to take it in a way that I said, you know. This was just, it was a list of things, list of 13 things. There's 14 on my list, but again, this Deagle.com, whatever it was called, I can't find it. It's not out there anymore. But there are videos out there where they talk about it. But these 13 things, completely unrelated, you should go look. Just go look them up. Make your own decisions. Let me see if I can find... Yeah, there it is. Deagle website. Deagle.com. Massive depopulation by 2025. I was wrong. Holy smokes. I thought it was 2050. Okay, 2025. It says forecast 2025 population will drop by 100 million. Wow. Well, there you go. So anyway, it's out there. I went to BitChute. I went to BitChute and just looked up Deagle. DEAGLE. But you cannot find that website anymore. It's not there. But that's where it started. It started at Deagle. It went up to the Georgia Guidestones, which was, you know, maintain population or maintain humanity by 500 million. That goes to the CRISPR, which again, I didn't cover very much of the CRISPR stuff. I don't really know half of it. I know it's out there to look into. It is a DNA changing process. It comes out of other things. The United Nations, of course, which say that they're your friends, may or may not be. I don't know. That leads to the WEF, the World Economic Forum, which leads right into the Great Reset. And then, of course, Gavi, who wants to make sure that everybody just has good health care. This Agenda 2030, which wants to try to make sure that the world is following in their orders, following their ways. This weird random patent, the WO 2020-060606, which, you know, says if you do certain actions during the day, then you can earn money. Which also leads to the ID 2020, which is a digital identification for everybody, because everybody has to be ID'd, tracked and traced. Which led me to the RFID, the N-tag. Go look that stuff up. And of course, at the very top, it was the NWO, the New World Order. And off to the side, of course, it was the Event 201, and then the thing that we can't talk about. 13, 14, really, but 13 completely unrelated concepts. It doesn't take very long to look this stuff up. All of it is on Google. I didn't look at DuckDuckGo. I didn't look at on one of the other ones. I can't remember the other one. I didn't look. This is Google. I just went to Google and just typed this in. So it's worth doing your research. It's worth looking into. It's worth at least asking the questions. What do these 13 completely unrelated things have to do with the world or each other? Go look them up, hunt them down, talk amongst your friends, show your family, ask them what they think. And we get the conversation going. Get the conversation going. You have to start looking this stuff up. That's all I can say. Of course, unfortunately, for anybody that listens to these videos, that listens to me, period, you probably already know this stuff. And if you do, why aren't you talking about it more? Why present it the way that I presented it? You know, just throw it out there. Somebody talks about cryptocurrencies, digital currencies, money. Tell them there's a patent. Tell them there's an 060606. Don't even tell them it's 0606. Just tell them that there's a patent out there. Then show them. Look it up. Have them see the numbers for themselves. And people talk about, you know, when people ask about that, then tell them about, you know, the digital IDs. Tell them about the RFID chips. Say this is where they're going. This is where they want you to go. And if they ask you why, it's real simple. Tell them about the Great Reset. Tell them about the World Economic Forum's Great Reset. Tell them about the Agenda 2030. And if they say you're crazy, if they say that, you know, why would they do that? You know, tell them about the Georgia Guidestones. Tell them Jane Goodall, Ted Turner, Bill Gates. Drop names. Every single one of these people. Rockefeller. They have all said we need to reduce the population down to this. Tell them straight up, the people that own the most want the people that own the least to die. This is not that hard to do. Get the conversation going. We have to tell these people. We have to get this message out. You're going to be killed. It has to stop. So it's up to you. Completely unrelated stuff. Just throwing it out there. It's all completely unrelated. There's nothing to listen to. I am a weird crackpot nut job that, you know, I have no right telling any of this to anybody at all. What else am I supposed to say? See, there's the thing on YouTube. There's a thing that says that you can talk about this stuff, but you have to post a counter argument in order to be able to talk about it, in order for the video to not be pulled. So my counter argument to all this stuff is, don't worry about it. It means nothing. These people are trying to help us. They're trying to do good. They're trying to do good. It's a good thing to reduce the population of the world down to... It's a good thing that, you know, they're trying to change our DNA in order to make sure that everybody is healthy. It's a good thing to track, trace, and identify everybody in the world. It's a good thing. I personally don't believe that. So I'm going to have to tell you to go look it up for yourself. So I'm going to go now. You guys take care of yourselves. God bless. Get talking. Get talking. 13 things. Just write it down. Write it down. Talk to people. Get people talking. We're right on the edge. They're moving in. They're closing in. All right. I shall talk to y'all later. God bless.